It was like, as long as you are only killing each other, that's okay. There's this terrible police joke that someone told me once when I was asking why they weren't investigating what obviously appeared to be the murder of a Yakuza boss as a suicide. After much argument, the response to me was, "Hey, what is the crime when a Yakuza kills another Yakuza?" And I'm like, "I don't know, you tell me." And he said, "Destruction of property." And that really captures the Japanese police attitude, like, okay you guys, you can have your gang wars and we don't care, as long as you're only killing each other. Once you hit a civilian, then we have a problem. In the offices of the Yakuza, especially the Inagawa-kai, there are a list of rules on the board, like a placard in the office that will tell you, these are the things that will get you kicked out of the Yakuza. Those include theft, robbery, sexual assault, buying and selling drugs. The fifth one, or sometimes the sixth one, which is very interesting, is unnecessary contact with the authorities. Unnecessary contact with the authorities implies exactly what it says. Of course you're going to have contact with the Yakuza. Of course the Yakuza and the police are going to have contact. Of course you're going to talk to the police, but not more than necessary. And there was a time when the police really did schedule, like in the TV show, raids with the Yakuza. Like, hey, there's a warrant out for the arrest of your underling on these charges. We're going to come by. Would Wednesday work for you? Yeah, Wednesday would be fine. What time should we expect you? The cops would know, the Yakuza would know, the media would know. It was all a performance. We were rarely surprised when the police raided the Yakuza office because the Yakuza knew in advance, and we knew in advance. It wasn't airtight security. But things really started to go haywire when the Yamaguchi-gumi, which is the largest organized crime group in Japan, began to challenge the police and intimidate them. And that really starts about 2007-2008. Yamaguchi-gumi is the big dog, right? They're the Goldman Sachs of organized crime in Japan. They're huge. And the second-in-command, Takayama-san, he really felt that the authorities were trying to pass a criminal conspiracy law. And he was also arrogant, and he felt like, we don't need to cooperate with these people anymore. We're big. We have inroads in the stock market, we're powerful, we have politicians in our pocket, we don't need to kowtow to the police. So it became a very confrontational and uncooperative relationship. Now that sounds ridiculous, right? Wasn't it always confrontational, uncooperative? No, that wasn't the norm. So what the Yamaguchi-gumi Kodo-kai did that was really unusual is they hired a private detective agency called the Galu Agency to go to SoftBank, which is a telecommunications provider, all this is well documented if people are interested, and said, get us the phone numbers of the cops that are investigating us. Once they had those phone numbers, they used the phone numbers to track down where the cops lived, and then they started taking photos of the guys' families and collecting information on the police officers. And so, you would have a detective who would be interrogating a Yakuza, and in the middle of the interrogation, the Yakuza would say, hey, it's already 5 p.m., shouldn't you be home for your daughter's birthday? And, obviously that's like, okay, I know you have a daughter, I know that it's her birthday, I know a lot about you. Do you really want to screw with me? And wow, did that not go over well with the Japanese police? And the Aichi Prefectural Police did something absolutely unprecedented at the time. They started raiding a bunch of offices without an appointment. Now that's kind of funny, I mean it is sort of humorous, like, oh my god, the police are raiding Yakuza offices without an appointment. But when they did that, they found surveillance photos of their families and their friends. And they were like, screw these guys. They have gotten uppity. We're not going to put up with this anymore. When the Yakuza are threatening detectives, this isn't Mexico. This is unacceptable. And so those complaints went all the way up to the National Police Agency, and the head of the National Police Agency at the time, Ando Takaharu, said basically, okay, I hear you. We're not going to put up with this. So on September 30th, 2009 at a press conference, he declared war on the Yamaguchi-gumi Kodo-kai. So the National Police Agency, the top commissioner, the top dog, says in a press conference basically, we are going to war with the Yamaguchi-gumi Kodo-kai, not the entire Yamaguchi-gumi, not all the Yakuza. But this particular faction, the ruling faction, this group of 2,000 people among the Yakuza. Because they're aggressive, they're uppity, they don't cooperate with us, they are doing things that are unprecedented, it can hurt the economy, and they are threatening police officers, and we are going to remove them from public society. Now he didn't just say, destroy them, get rid of them. He said, we're going to remove them from public society, meaning you won't be able to see their presence, they will be gone. And that is really the beginning of the end of the Yakuza. And at the same time, in Fukuoka, where a lot of businesses were refusing to do business with the Yakuza or pay them protection money anymore, the Kodo-kai were throwing grenades into clubs and severely wounding people and killing them. And the Japanese police were kind of like, what should we do? The Yakuza are intimidating us, they're attacking civilians, how can we stop them? So there was a discussion within the National Police Agency, which basically designs policy but doesn't actually have a police force. Imagine the FBI with all the bureaucracy, but none of the power to actually do anything directly. They're like, how can we get rid of these guys? How can we finally put them out of business? And the consensus was, and I talked to one of the officers in the planning division at the time, on the record, we'll never be able to get a national law on the books that will prohibit paying off the Yakuza. We'll never be able to get that done at a federal level. But they were consulting with a lawyer named Igari Toshiro, who was a former prosecutor, who really disliked the Yakuza and had had some run-ins with Gotogumi, which was one of the most vicious of the factions. And he was the guy who came up with this brilliant idea of getting rid of Yakuza by putting clauses in contracts called organized crime exclusionary clauses. And those clauses basically are that whenever you're in Japan, when you check into hotels, you join a sports club, you join a gym, you try to rent a car, you try to get a cell phone, there's a little clause that says, I'm not a member of an organized crime group and I'm not associated with any. But if you are a Yakuza and you do sign that, then you've committed fraud, then you can be arrested. But if you don't sign it, you can't have a bank account, you can't rent a car, you can't rent an office. And that's very problematic.